Okay, looks like we're going to get started here. It's about 4:30 Mountain Time, 6:30 Eastern Time, which is what I'm on in Pittsburgh here. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to the weekend. We had some snow the last couple of days. Welcome, Linda. No, and I don't know about you guys, but mid-April, it's kind of getting a little tiresome of seeing that snow. So this weekend's supposed to be in the 80s here in Pittsburgh. So hopefully you guys are going to get some warm weather too. How you doing, Linda? Hopefully you can hear me. Move my chat box up here so I can see what's going on. All right, well, welcome to week 2. Oh, great, Linda, thank you. Welcome, Amber. Hopefully you guys are doing great. Just going over a few things here as we go into week 2. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Just a few announcements. Psychology of color, we're going to go over. No problem. Yep. So we're also going to look at the CRAP design principles. You guys should have a good understanding of what that's all about, but it's always nice to get a refresher. And if we have time, we're going to do a color review and, of course, the assignment 2 and assessment 2 demo. All right, don't forget, some due dates here. I know life happens, you guys. I am like right there with you. It's crazy. Life can be crazy. So just try to get your assignments in on time. If not, send me an email, contact me, reach out to me if something's going on. I can be more flexible with you guys if that's the case. But yeah, just try to get that in. If you're not, emailing me and let me know what's going on, say you still have a week, say you're in week 4 and you still have week 2 work that's not been turned in and you haven't contacted me, then, obviously I can't take it as a credit because it's over a week past due. There you go, Amber. See? She's naming all of the CRAP principles of design there. I think it's kind of drilled into your heads every single class, but that's good. There's a reason for that. So good job. So just kind of remember, just get your assignments in on time. It's always good to get into that good habit, especially before graduating and getting into an actual job, where they don't tolerate lateness. So it's always good to kind of get in that frame of mind. Don't forget, when we get into week 4, which is a couple weeks from now, they cannot be turned in late. We can accept a week past the due date with a 20% grace period penalty. But other than that, if it's week 4 turned in late, we cannot accept it. And then just also be sure to post your initial post before midnight on Wednesday for possible full credit, and then, respond to your 2 different peer posts within the 2 days of that week. If you cannot make the initial post by the due date, it will not be credited. Just a little recap here. Live sessions are Tuesdays, that's today, and from 4:30 to 6:30, that's Mountain Time. If you're Eastern Time like me, it's 6:30 to 8:30. And then multi-sessions are held every week as well. I hold my multi-sessions are on Wednesday, so tomorrow at the same time. And that's not mandatory. It's if you guys have, things that you want extra help on, extra feedback on, come on in and I can help you out. All right. If you need any other outside help, don't forget the Student Success Center is there. Great tutoring resource. No appointment necessary. And then also don't forget we have a learning coach assigned to this class that in the announcements I post her information or their information with their hours and their contact information. Week 1 assignment is kicking your butt. Did you have anything that you wanted to talk about with that? I know, Amber, you were saying something about issues. We can look at stuff at the end of the lecture if you want to go over anything. Okay. Yeah, we should have some time here, so just kind of bear with us here. We're going to take a look at psychology of color. It's kind of crazy Actually, before we go in that, let's take a look at your discussion post here. It is crazy how color has such a big influence with persuasive tactics when you're trying to sell a message or a brand. You don't even have to use communication. It's just the color itself is powerful enough to communicate without even verbally communicating. So it's kind of neat. All right. Anyway, so week 2. Let's go ahead and click on week 2 here. That's where we're at. Just some of the learning objectives that we're going to be walking away from hopefully this week. Well, you guys should be walking away from. We're going to be differentiating between spot, Pantone, RGB, and CMYK color models. You probably are familiar with some of these terms. Maybe you don't understand certain uses or why you would use them. So that's kind of what we're going over in discussions. You're going to identify and apply the correct use of swatches in color libraries. You're going to discuss the role color plays in the Big 4 principles, so CRAP. You're going to analyze how color is used to create consistency in a print campaign, and then identify and apply color resolution for print output. Go ahead, and there's like a 4-minute video here you can check out whenever you are going through all of your coursework this week. Go ahead and check that out. Okay, so discussions, let's take a look at that before we go into the rest of this week's material. Hopefully you guys are getting started with this. We are going over the Big 4 design principles: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Go ahead and read through that background information. It kind of discusses a little bit in detail about the purposes of each. And the prompt is what I'm going to read to you guys. So you're going to visit this site, the designyourownway.net, for examples. You're going to scroll down. There are 60 wonderful examples in this link. And then for your initial post, you're going to choose one poster design from the site. I think you guys will be really inspired by this. And this is really to kind of get you inspired for what's to come too for your projects. You're going to take a screenshot of it and embed it to your initial discussion post. The screenshot can be done with Command-Shift-4 on your computer if you are on a Mac. Describe how color, contrast, and repetition was or was not used to create impact. What mood was created by color choices, and how would different choices have affected the overall design? So really break it down. Break it down with all of these questions here. Discuss what you see. There you go. Yeah, what you see in terms of the poster that you chose, what kind of drew you in to talk about it, and what if it were a different color altogether? How would that affect the overall design? Would it be a completely different message that would come through? So talk about that. For your citation, you might use articles that describe the Big 4 design principles. That would be great for a supportive resource, and how they relate to colors or emotions generated from specific color schemes. So you can kind of talk about colors and how they are aligned with emotions. And don't forget, when looking at your fellow students' discussion posts, you might discuss how all 4 design principles were implemented to create a successful design. Okay, so in addition to contrast and repetition, consider where you see alignment and proximity used. So you can even talk about that as well. What was their impact on the overall success or failure of the design? So what worked, what maybe didn't work? If you were to change the design in any way, what would you change and why? And then support your answer with the design principle that it relates to. Okay, and then just kind of support each other. If you see somebody kind of writing in one perspective, you might want to open their eyes to a new perspective. That's kind of what that's talking about. Let me click on this link here real quick. We'll just take a look at very quickly this website that you need to choose a poster design for. So you just scroll down and look at some of these. I know some of you guys got started on this and it looks great, kind of what I'm seeing now. There's some really interesting posters in here. that you can definitely be inspired by and just take a look at. The posters are fun. Some nice montage, collage type pieces. So go ahead and go scroll through these. Yeah, it's hard to choose from, but definitely using color as a big element within the design itself. So lots to talk about. You know, consider, oh, here's Dave Matthews. Consider what the poster is for too. You know, you might definitely discuss how the colors were used to relate to whatever it is advertising. Okay, any questions about that? Pretty straightforward. Yeah, it is definitely hard to choose from. I love posters. I think they're so fun to look at because when you look at a poster, you're not going to be sitting there reading it. It's something that has to communicate instantly almost with a focal point visual. So, all right. So get started on that. Lots of things to discuss there. Kind of neat to see different types of posters and be inspired by them too. Whoops. Bring up my chat thing here. Every time I switch my screen, I lose my chat area. All right. Let's go forward here. Let's talk about the psychology of logo color. Isn't this crazy? 84.7% of consumers cite color as the primary reason they buy a particular product. I don't know about you, but I think that's definitely doable, I think. I mean, I know I'm a sucker for package design, but also color when it comes to impulse buying. So yeah, I definitely can see that that's probably pretty accurate in terms of the percentage. So knowing that, that's pretty big. Color plays a huge part in persuading buyers to buy into a brand, an idea, a message, you know, anything that you're trying to communicate. This was actually research compiled by the web design and marketing company Webpage FX. People make a subconscious judgment about a product in less than 90 seconds of viewing, and a majority of these people base that assessment on color alone. So in fact, almost 85% of consumers cite color as their primary reason they buy a particular product, and 80% of people believe color increases brand recognition. So that's why it's one of the big elements within your designs. So definitely it's good to know the psychology behind the colors. And there's so many different other little, you know, it's not just, it's universal, you know, some colors are universal, some aren't. So if you're designing for, say, a brand that's more universal, you have to make sure that, you know, some of the colors aren't being read in a different way with other cultures too. But in general, we're basically always kind of designing for, you know, our area and our, you know, within the United States for the most part, unless you're, you know, working for a huge company, which is definitely something you have to think about. So knowing each color and what they represent and in regards to maybe personality and emotions, the politics behind, you know, what colors are used for marketing, and then also health related, you know, maybe more holistic parts, which is that chakra is listed here. So, you know, when you talk about colors, they do have something that kind of emotes and I guess creates an emotion within us. Evokes, I should say, an emotion. So red would be more strong emotions. You know, it has that power to bring about, encourages appetite. You know, so if you're, you know, I guess it depends. If you're kind of pushing a diet, something diet related, I don't know, maybe you would want somebody to buy it if it was food, but it was diet food. But you know, obviously, maybe not paint your dining room red. I don't know. Something interesting to think about. Increases passion and intensity. What is chakra? I'll get to that here. That's a good question. Red roses symbolize love as well. So red could symbolize love, like emotions. In politics worldwide, in worldwide politics, red represents socialist parties or communists. In the United States of America, it's used for Republicans. In marketing, red increases heart rate. It's used by restaurants to stimulate appetite. So interior design, colors are very important to understand as well. It creates urgency, often seen in clearance items, used for impulse shoppers. So you might see a lot of red tags, or maybe wayfinding, which is kind of signage within a store. What chakra is they're basically, this is more rooted into holistic health care, and that means more natural care. So chakras are basically your 7 nervous system centers within your body, and you have 7 of them, and they go from the top of your head all the way down to the bottom. So when you look up chakras, what symbolized the chakra that's symbolized by the color red is called your root chakra, and it's located at the base of the spine. It's related to survival and safety and physical self. So it's more of a holistic type of spiritual part of medicine and meditation and all of that. So it's kind of like, it's a different theory behind that as far as like balancing your chakras for health reasons. It's very interesting though. I actually got into chakra work for, I guess over 8 years ago. I went to yoga centers, and they actually have classes where you can balance your chakras and stuff like that. So it's got really interesting. You can also use crystals to do that as well. The primary colors, such as red, can be shown here for different logos that we may know today, very well-known and recognizable logos that utilize red within their logo and their brand. So we might definitely notice a lot of these. All right, the next one, we're just showing the 3 primary colors, by the way. The psychology of yellow, so personality and emotions, increases cheerfulness and warmth. So if that's something that you want to, you notice a lot of yellow within like kids' design toys and other products. That's probably why. Causes fatigue and strain on eyes, so there could be a downside to it. Makes babies cry, maybe if you use too much. Stimulates mental processes, nervous system, and encourages communication. I don't know if you guys ever, you probably have seen those yellow tablets. They're like yellow paper with blue lines on them. I just, going through a color theory class that I taught many years ago, I was reading through the book, and that was one of and I had no idea that those were actually made yellow for a reason. The yellow pads were made to encourage communication and also stimulate the mental processes for creativity. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. So you might think, oh yeah, now I understand why they're yellow. But I had no idea. I had no idea before that. So it was something I learned. Interesting. So politics represents liberalism. Marketing represents optimism, youthfulness, used to grab attention of window shoppers and shows clarity. And then in the chakra, this is represented by the solar plexus chakra, and that's located in the upper abdomen between the navel and sternum. And it's related to personal power, will, and self-esteem. And you can focus on these chakras and clear these chakras. So like say, if you have self-esteem issues, it is, in theory that you can work on clearing and fixing the chakra so that you don't have those issues anymore. And again, this is kind of like, I don't know how much scientific study goes into this. I know that they are nervous system areas in your body, and that's a fact. But, it's completely, theory related in regards to how you would balance those chakras. So it's just kind of neat to learn about. Here's some yellow logos that are used in recognized brands today. See McDonald's and IKEA. Best Buy. And then last but not least, you have blue, and blue is associated with water and peace. Most preferred by men, so it's a gender thing, possibly. Represents calmness, serenity. It curbs appetite. Known as a cold color, and it increases productivity used in office settings. It's so funny. It says talks about curbs appetite. I heard a diet trick too. If you want to lose weight, I don't know how true this is, but they said to put a blue light bulb in your refrigerator. And the theory behind it is it makes the food not look as appetizing. So I don't know. Maybe it's true. I haven't tried it yet, but definitely worth a try there. Interesting. Politics. So worldwide represents conservative parties, and then the United States, it's used for Democrats. In marketing, it's often used in corporate businesses because it is productive and non-invasive. It creates a sense of security and trust in a brand. So a lot of logos probably want to create a sense of security and trust, but think of ones that may more than others, like banks and stuff like that might use this more so than others because of that reason. So definitely think about how color can really seal the communication of what you're trying to say within a brand. Chakra, throat chakra, base of throat, relates to communication, truth, and self-expression. So if you feel like you're hindered in any way because of communication, that would be something that you may want to work on. Throat chakra. Blue logos. And I know a lot of you guys hopefully will go and check out what chakras are all about. There's some really cool YouTube videos about that too. So it's kind of interesting information. There's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Skype, Walmart, all the big hitters here. Pepsi using more blue and red. Some of them are combined. I was just eating Oreos for my dessert. I see Oreos on there. I think I need a blue light bulb. So I don't eat the blue Oreos. or are attracted by the blue Oreo brand, I guess I should say. So there's some just interesting information on the primary colors. The CRAP principles of design, which Amber kind of listed all there in the chat area. She did a great job. Just go over these again. Contrast. So if two elements are different, make those differences striking. That's contrast. And it's not just about color. It's also about the amount of contrast. So it can be, thick and thin black color, and that creates a contrast. It doesn't have to be like, a red and a yellow. It can be thick and thin too. Repetition is another principle of design represented by the R. Use repeated elements to direct, organize, and structure. So this is always a good foundation to follow if you're really trying to unify a piece and to organize the information and structure it in a way where it's not all, your elements aren't floating around the layout itself. Alignment, represented by A, is line up elements to create visual structure. This is definitely a challenge for a lot of students, I think. This is one thing that I usually go back and kind of make an awareness that things aren't lining up or grouped in a certain way, which we'll be talking about in the next slide. But alignment is definitely key within a layout in order to not look like, things are kind of just haphazardly placed on the layout itself. Proximity is a good one. That's represented by the P. It's basically clumped together related elements so that their spatial relationships organized and emphasized. So you're kind of giving that visual pause in between certain elements so that you're organizing the information for the eye to view and to read in a certain way. So it's not all kind of flowing together and hard to understand where the eye goes first, second, third. It's kind of like proximity is very similar to a hierarchy. So you want the eye to go somewhere first, second, third, fourth in a design typically. If you don't have an order of emphasis and a proximity about it, it's going to be very hard to know where the eye goes first. And then most of the time people give up. they won't even look at it anymore. So it's really important as visual designers that we are helping the viewer understand where to look first. What's the main focal point? And then where does the eye travel next? And proximity will definitely help this in terms of giving that, allowing the eye to travel easily. Any questions about that? That is an interesting poster. A little fish there, but it's made up of all kinds of little icons. Kind of cute. All right. So kind of basic stuff that we're going over here. Just a couple graphic design tips and tricks. Think about fonts. So you really want to limit your number of fonts on a page. Text on top of high contrast background is difficult to read too. So if you use more than 2 fonts on a page, then it becomes kind of disconnected, where it's kind of hard to understand what belongs where. It doesn't unify as nicely as if you had more cohesive fonts. That's why you use font families, because you can use different emphasis with that same typeface. So you're keeping the cohesiveness of the piece, but you can change the emphasis in some ways using that same typeface. Keep it simple, stupid. Simple can be beautiful. I think this is one of the things that you kind of sometimes have to learn as you go through the school, because I know I've been there. I went through my 4 undergraduate years trying to figure out how to edit my work down, because I think when you start, you kind of want to cram everything you can into a design, and then you truly realize after a while, okay, we need to take some stuff out and simplify, make this simple. Yeah. And I think sometimes that's just the learning process as you go forward. But colors, limit your colors. Just like with fonts, if you go too crazy with the fonts, too many fonts, it becomes disconnected. The same thing with colors. You want to keep it simple. You want to keep it unified. So pick a color scheme and stick to that. High value colors are high contrast, but also easy to class. So you want to you want to make sure that you're not using too high contrast value colors together in terms of background and type, because you might have some issues depending on the actual color. If it's complementary colors is what I'm talking about. Standing out, make your designs unique, distinct, and easily recognizable. So think about the brands like Nike and Apple, Volkswagen. They're simple and recognizable as well. Obviously, if you're creating a brand that from the start, they're not going to be recognizable at first. And that's why you want to keep your designs unique enough so that, they're going to stand out. It won't blend in with other competitors. Okay, so let's talk about, now that we kind of went over some of the just general stuff about color of design, we're going to be discussing the differences between spot and process color. And some of this can be kind of confusing. That's why I kind of posted a link to announcements with an explanation. I think sometimes watching the video is helpful too. But spot colors, let's talk about spot versus process. So spot colors, they're colors created without screens or dots. So when you look at a newspaper, that's a good example. You can see kind of how those dots come together to create a picture. You can see them a little bit more with the eye than if you were in a magazine. If you were to take a loop, which is a magnifying glass, and really hold it down to a magazine, you would see the same thing, although they'd be tighter dots. Okay, so colors created without screens or dots, such as those found in the Pantone matching system, and that's PMS is short for Pantone matching system. So if you ever heard somebody say PMS, that's what that means in terms of the color. So are referred to in the industry as spot or solid color. So you might hear somebody saying, solid color or spot color. What's your spot color? So they're referring to the PMS colors. And they're from a palette of 18 basic colors. So they're all comprised basically from the 18 colors. And each of the spot colors in the PMS system is mixed according to its own unique ink mixing formula developed by Pantone. So you probably mix yellow and blue paint to get green in your youth. Creating a Pantone spot color is similar in concept, but with the added need for precision. So each color in the system has a unique name or number followed by either a C, a letter C, or a letter U. So you'll see the number and then like a C next to it or a U. The letter suffix refers to the paper stock on which it was printed. So if you see the letter C next to the number, it's actually representative of coated paper. So what the color would look like on coated paper. And then if you saw the U next to it, it's representing the uncoated paper, what that color would look like on an uncoated piece of paper. And that's big because you can have a very high quality, bright white coated paper, and that blue is going to look totally different on an uncoated paper, as far as the hue goes. So you want to make sure you see that both in the swatch before going forward with it if you're if you have a client that's really picky with color. Also, created without screens, Pantone metallic and pastel colors are considered part of the Pantone matching system. So if you had a client or if you thought of a project that, this would be great if we could do some metallic ink or pastel colors for a certain part of the design, Pantone inks can do that. Okay, so that's an option there. So due to the gamut of the 18 basic colors, some spot colors will be cleaner and brighter than if they were created in the 4-color process described in the next slide. So spot colors are commonly used in corporate logos and identity programs and in 1, 2, or 3 color jobs. And that's because spot colors will be exactly how you see them, no matter how much the run is. And when I say the run, that means how much is printed off of the press. So you could have millions of postcards printed, and if you had that logo as a spot color, that color will not shift or change. It'll be exactly that same color through the whole run. Process colors. So we just talked about spot. Now let's talk about process. So process colors, the most common method of achieving color in printing is referred to as CMYK. And that's the 4-color process, or 4-C. You might see it like that, process, or even just process could be termed that. To reproduce a color image, a file is separated into 4 different colors. So you have 4 different plates. So cyan for C, magenta for M, yellow for Y, and K for black. And then during separation, screen tints comprised of small dots are applied at different angles to each of the 4 colors. The screen separations are then transferred to 4 different printing plates, 1 for each color, and run on a printing press with 1 color overlapping the next. The composite image fools the naked eye with the illusion of continuous tone. Process colors are represented as percentages of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Varying the percentages offers thousands of color possibilities. When 4-color process printing is used to produce photographs, decorative elements such as borders and graphics can be created out of process colors. This helps to avoid the added expense of extra plate needed to print each spot color. Converting spot to process. So oftentimes a spot PMS color is requested when creating a process printed piece. To save money, the spot color should be evaluated to see how it will look if printed in CMYK. So that they're talking about if you have a process piece, so 4-color CMYK, and you just happen to have everything is printed in CMYK except for a logo that's just specifically a spot color. They're just saying that they would take a look at to see if they could just have it printed in CMYK if it's going to come close to that color. If not, then obviously they would have to stick with both processes. While some color can be stimulated well, there are many that are outside the possible color gamut for that process and will look quite different. As the quality of the resulting color conversion is very subjective, the designer can make decisions using the Pantone Color Bridge Guide, as well as the Pantone Extended Gamut Coded Guide. Most Adobe programs can convert spot to process right within the program. So there is options to do that. It's just good to know that maybe there's not a big shift in the color change. Sometimes clients, you'll find, that don't want, do not want the logo to look any different than what it looks like on any other pieces. So they want to keep that spot color. Obviously, if they're willing to pay for it, it's in the budget, then that's fine. You'll just do both processes. So how do we find these process colors within, say, Illustrator here? So you have the Pantone color picker. You find the Pantone color, copy the color code, and find it in Illustrator. So what you would do is you would have those swatches. And I'll show you. See that little swatch book right there? So you would have a swatch book, and most advertising agencies have this. You can buy them too. They're kind of expensive, but maybe you have one somebody gave you or whatever. But and there's different books for different papers and all that. But what you would do is you would look up the color closest to what you're trying to represent. You would have the number, copy the code is what they're talking about, and find an Illustrator. So you would go into Illustrator, you would open up Window Swatches, and in the swatch panel, you would go to Open Swatch Library. And I can show you this when we get in here. And then you would go to Color Books. And then the Pantone Solid Colored would be at the C. You can see that on the little slide there. Coded or Pantone Solid Uncoded. So that's where you would find it. Any questions about that? And I'll show you kind of where to actually find that in the demo that we'll be doing here. So Pantone is for pre-mixed ink. That is going to be a color that you'll find in the book, whereas process is CMYK, printed for color process. Typically, it's always going to be process color if you're not doing like web work or a logo. So, but it's good to kind of know. Okay. What are you have any questions about what we just went over, Linda? Maybe about the assignment. I don't know. Maybe that's what you have questions about. All right. Well, let's see. Let's go forward. If you have questions, let me know. Just type them in the chat and I'll try to get to you. Let's take a look at your assignment 2 logo color theme project here. I'm going to switch from this slide into our actual Canvas just so we can read it from there, just in case some verbiage change. Oh, okay. No problem. I gotcha. All right, so let's go to your assignment 2. Did anybody start this yet? Maybe not. Probably waiting for the lecture, right? Maybe a good idea. Okay, let me zoom in here. Okay, so basically what we're going to be doing is kind of what you see here with the 2 logos and then the swatches, although yours will be different colors that you're going to pick. But this is kind of what it should look like when you're done, just using the colors that you choose. So go ahead and read through the background. I'm not going to read word for word. You guys can definitely read through that. I'm going to go to the prompts. So for this assignment, you will create 2 color themes for the Aqua Excursion logo, utilizing 2 colors, the other utilizing 3 colors. So I'm kind of showing you right here. The top one's showing 3 colors. So the dark blue, green, and light blue. The one below is just showing you 2 colors, the green and the gold. Now, the top tier, these are just swatches that you'll see that you'll need to create. So you'll do the 3 and then the 2. What you're going to be doing is you're going to define and apply, this is part 1, a color palette to a logo. So you're going to download the black and white logo. So you're going to click on this and download it. You're going to create a new 8.5 by 11 inch Illustrator document. You're going to utilize the Pantone colors to create 2 different color combinations that are effective solutions for the kayak industry. Okay, create 2 sets of boxes and fill each box with your chosen colors. Duplicate your swatches and convert the colors to CMYK. So basically that's what this is. So the first line going across is Pantone colors. The second line below are converted from Pantone to process colors, so your 4 colors. And I'll show you how to do that. Same thing here. Okay. All right, so you're gonna note if the color change is pronounced or minimal. If it is pronounced, so let's say you convert it from the spot to the process and you can tell a big difference with maybe a blue that you use, maybe it got less bright for the CMYK when you convert it to CMYK. You might consider choosing a different color if that's the case, because what will happen, and this happens a lot, I've ran across this a lot. I used to design for First Energy. First Energy is a big energy company based in Ohio. And they had a logo that was done in this Pantone blue. I think it was 32. The number kind of stays in my head. And of course, they didn't want to pay for Pantone colors all on every single piece that they did, because some of the pieces would be throwaways, like they would be in bills, so that you would get your energy bill, so your electric bill, and you would have a little flyer in there and their logo would be on it. And they didn't want to pay like a ton of money to make it a Pantone color just for that. So they would print CMYK. The only problem was the 32 Pantone blue used in their logo looks like crap when converted to CMYK. It just looks like really dull and not similar to what their Pantone color looks like. So what you have to do as a designer, and that what we had to do is take the swatch palette, and there are ones that show you what the blue will look like in CMYK. So not only will it show you what it'll look like on coated and uncoated as far as the Pantone process or the spot colors are concerned, but you can also get a swatch that shows the conversion. So what's that same color from Pantone look like as a 4 color? And you can choose from when you start the project, you can choose a color that isn't going to be what you would convert it to. So like say I converted the 32 Pantone to a CMYK and it looks like crap. So at that point, I would definitely change that color, even though it's CMYK, I would change it to a CMYK that's brighter and closer looking to the 3.2. So I would take the CMYK swatch book, which I can't show you guys how I would do this, but I would take the CMYK swatch book and I would just match it up the best I can by actually holding it right next to maybe a printed piece of the Pantone printed piece logo and say, okay, this is the closest I can get. This is the brightest blue that this is going to be. And then I'll just copy those numbers for the CMYK colors. And that's kind of what we do as designers. We kind of try to make it look the best we can. All right. I know it's a little hard to explain that unless you actually see it. So hopefully you guys got the gist of that. All right, so open the provided logo in Illustrator is what you're going to be doing. Copy and paste the black and white logo into your file. Apply the CMYK values of each theme to the black and white logo you downloaded, and save the file as the as this name here. Okay. Any questions about that part 1? And we'll go over this in detail in a second here. Okay. So the second part of this is the part 2 written rationale. Okay. And I think once I go through the demo, it might be a little more clear. Write 150 to 200 word rationale in Word that explains the reasons why you chose the colors in each theme. So you might, you definitely have to do some research here. I would go online and look at some other kayak company logos that are out there. For instance, let's just do good old Google here. If we type in kayak logos, and go to image, we can take a look at some of the colors used. And, you know, not all of these are going to work, but you get the gist of kind of what's used, what works, maybe what doesn't work. Got a lot of like analogous color schemes, some pops of color. The orange and black is a big one. Okay, so that's kind of where I would go first. And then you can explain kind of the reason why you use both color themes, that you chose both color themes within your 2 designs there. And then you can save that as the Word document to also attach. I would just zip those 2. So I'd zip your PDF with your Word doc. If not, no big deal. You can definitely upload them separately too. Okay, here, sorry. I'm just gonna say it right here. So this is what you do. Create a folder named, jumped ahead of myself. Put your Word document with the rationale and PDF of your logos with color themes into this folder. You're gonna zip and upload the zip files. And don't forget, keep your native files. So what that means is keep your Illustrator native files, your Illustrator file, just in case you need to go back and revise it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on this logo link. And it's an AI file, so it's an Illustrator file. I'm gonna go ahead and open that. Stop sharing here. Whoops. Alrighty. So this is what you should see when you open this up. Now this is, it's, when I think this is outlined, yeah. So you're not gonna change in any way. I don't want to see when you place it in somewhere. I don't want to see it do this or do this, stretched out. I see a lot of that. Make sure when you copy it and you're sizing it up or down, you're going to hold that shift key before scaling it up or down. You're going to hold that shift key down and then grab the bounding box and let go of the bounding box before letting go of the shift key. That way it's proportionate. There's another way you can scale it too. You don't have to do it in this way. You can go over here, select all, and go over here to your scale tool in your toolbox, which is represented with the S. If you can't find it there, hit S on your keyboard. If you double click on that with your logo selected, you can uniformly scale this up or down. So let's say 70% I'm going to put in there, hit preview, and it's going to proportionately scale it up or down depending on what number you put here. You should have these both checked too. So you want to scale the corners and strokes and effects. I don't want to see any distorted logos. I see a lot of that. Okay, so now here's the logo. Now that I have this here, I have to create a new document, an 8.5 by 11 document. So I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to do 8.5 by 11. I think it's already here, so that's good. I just have to do one artboard. Don't have to worry about bleeds. My color settings are good. I'm just going to go create. And then here's my document. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Assignment 2, my first and last name. I'm going to save it to the desktop. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this tab where the logo was. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this. So select all, which is Command A. Or you can go up to select all and then copy. So either go edit copy or Command C to copy that. And then go right back over to the other tab and you're going to go edit paste or Command V and paste it in there. Now again, you're going to want to make this bigger. So you can either double click on the scale tool with that selected, scale it up this way, or take your selection tool, hold the shift key, and you can kind of scale it holding on that shift key. Okay, make it a little smaller here. I'm going to put this one up here, and then I'm going to hit Alt with this select. I'm going to click on the button Alt Option, and I'm going to drag down another copy. I have 2. Okay, I'm going to go File, Save. All right, so I created my artboard. Now I have to utilize the Pantone colors to create 2 different color combinations that are effective solutions for the kayak industry. And then I have to do 2 sets of boxes and fill each box with my chosen colors. So like I said, do the research, see kind of the color schemes that you like. Then I would go to your actual color, your colors here. So I'm going to go up to Window, Swatch Libraries, and then my color books. And then I'm going to go, I'm going to say, because it showed you the coded and uncoded, just choose the coded. We'll just go with the coded paper. We have to go with one or the other, so coded is probably good. That's if you're going to print on coded paper. If you have uncoded, you would choose uncoded. We'll just stick with the Pantone and solid coated. When you choose that, you'll have a panel that pops up. It looks like this. And it says Pantone plus solid coated. If you have your little hand kind of resting over any of these swatches, it's going to intuitively, without even selecting it, show you the Pantone number for that color. So as you slide over, you can see the number changing. It has a little C next to it. And I can scroll down and it'll kind of show you the array of colors. So these are the swatches that you'll see in a swatch book too. So if you have one in your hand, you'll be able to see the colors there visually in front of you on the actual paper printed swatch book. And then you can go back and say, okay, I think this is, okay, actually it's 72. I thought I said 32. So this is the first energy color that I was talking about, the Pantone Blue 72. So I can say, okay, this is the 72 I saw in my book. This is the color I want it to be. And this is the actual, so the actual Pantone color, sorry, is shown here. And I'm gonna, let me go to my swatch panel here, just pull up my swatches. I want to show you this because if you pull up your swatch panel, which is separate from what I just pulled here up here, because I clicked on that, oh, it's giving me all kinds of swatches here. Let me get rid of all these here real quick so you guys can see. It's not hard to see here. Yours probably won't look like this, but. So that Pantone Blue that I clicked on, you can see it's in my swatches now. And I know it's a Pantone Blue because it has a little triangle at the bottom with the dot. So that's a good way to tell if you ever rename this, say by accident, you know that this is a Pantone color because of that icon. Okay, and I'll show you a reason why we need to identify that because we're going to change it to CMYK eventually. So we want to make sure we did it correctly. Okay, so let's say I picked that blue for that. This is going to be maybe my 3-color option here. So I'm going to pick, and I probably wouldn't do different color, you know, for each letter. I think that might be, that might not be the way to go just because it might be hard to read. Go with more of a gold here, a darker gold. Okay, let's say, let me see if I can find one here that's not so orangey, but dark. And it's funny, when you click on them, you think it's gonna look one way, and then they totally doesn't look like that. So definitely kind of click through, see what you like. Yeah, pick that one. And then maybe this one is a lighter blue, okay? So I think I clicked on a whole bunch. So now my yellows are all crazy here. So I just have to make sure I know, okay, this is the one that I use. I'm gonna eliminate all the rest. So I'm just gonna select these and just the ones that I'm not using, do a shift select and just trash them so that I can see my 3 Pantone colors in here. Then I'm going to take the square tool here in your toolbar, and I'm going to hold the shift key down and just do 3 little squares, and you can draw one out hold down the shift key so they're proportionate and go ahead and do an alt drag to copy these. You can use your alignment, your align, so window align, to align all three of these so that you know the space in between is equal. Whoops, not that. I think it's the horizontal distribute center here. And then you can do an alt drag once you're done to align these. And center. So basically I just did 6 squares here. This top part will be what these are, all 3 colors in spot. And then these will be converted from spot to process. Okay, so let me change this to the blue, and I'm just going to my swatches over here to change that. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so when I select these, I can tell that these are all spot colors because they have the little triangle thing. Now, this is the tricky part. So what you need to do, it's not very tricky, is you need to copy these 3 colors. Go ahead and drag and drop right next to that trash can to make a copy of them. Drag and drop, so you can see I have 2 sets here. Okay, so pick a set, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna double click on them in the actual swatch palette and see where it says color type. See, it says spot color. We're gonna click on that and choose process color. And click OK. And what happens, that little dot disappears. Do you see that little dot right there? So that dot disappears. That tells me that this is no longer a spot color. Now this is a CMYK color. So what I can do is I can copy these. These are the CMYK totals, and I could have them written here as a new name if I wanted to, or I could just say, double click and just put CMYK blue. I'm just going to do that for purposes of keeping it easy here. Double click on your yellow, do the same thing. Go up to color type, process, click OK, double click on the name, CMYK yellow. And you have to double click right over top of that swatch, not just the name, to change this. So if you're having problems, that might be it. Click OK. Double click over the name to change the name. CMYK light blue. And I probably would put the totals in here, but I'm not going to do it right now. Then what you do is go back to the bottom section and just change them to that CMYK. And look at that. Look at the yellow change. Did you see that? Let me zoom in here. I'm kind of glad I used this yellow just to show you as an example. This gold yellow that was a Pantone, look what it looks like when it's converted to CMYK. That's a big difference. Not so much in the blues, but that yellow really changed, didn't it? Yeah, so I mean, if that's a color that you don't like, you know, if it's something that bothers you, you might go back and say, okay, I'm going to change that yellow so it doesn't look so bad. Or maybe not bad, but so different. You know, it looks completely different. So what you could do is just double click on your CMYK, I'm sorry, your Pantone, or you can just go back here. What do we say here? 110, right? So it was like right there. So let's try the 109. I just did the 109 here. Let's duplicate that and see how that looks. So 109 is the spot and 109 CMYK. So that looks a little bit closer. So I go ahead and just delete these 2. And then don't forget to change the color up here as well. Now, that might be hard to read, that yellow. You know, it's something you have to think about too, the contrast, but you know, something to think about for sure. Any questions about that? Did you guys understand that process? So when I go and open your Illustrator file up, I should be able to see, yeah, that this is a Pantone color, and I'll be able to see because there's a little dot there for the first line, and the second one I should be able to see this, the CMYK conversion without the little dot. I'm just going to go ahead and copy the 4 of these because this is your two color example here. Now I would choose a different color scheme than this. I would definitely go a little different. You know, maybe this one I'm going to go simply to a black and maybe an orange. Okay, same thing in here. You know, go ahead and get your swatches ready, and when you're ready to convert, copy your colors, duplicate them, double click over top, change from spot to process, double click on top, process, go ahead and change them, the CMYK bottom, that looks pretty good. I would just use the process, the spot color for the example, you know, for this example and this example as far as the logo is concerned, and then use, you know, obviously spot on top, CMYK conversion on the bottom. All right, so that's kind of what you guys will be, that's exactly what you guys are going to be doing. Obviously, you're going to be picking your own color scheme, so make sure it works. You know, I would be a little afraid this might be a little less contrasty for the yellow, but you know, that's definitely something that I was thinking about going darker on, but then when I converted it, it looked so different, so I changed it. All right, so when you're done with this, all you need to do is create your rationale, your 150 to 200 word rationale. Explain the reasons why you chose the colors in each theme. You know, maybe you saw it as something that supported the brand. You know, it wasn't so much female related or male related. It's very gender neutral because maybe the target audience is more male and female based. Think about things like that as well. All right, save it as an AI file, but then also you're going to save it as a PDF as far as your artwork here. So go ahead and go File, Save as PDF. You can choose the smallest file size, that's fine. Click Save PDF. Do you guys know how to zip files together? When you're done, your Word file and your regular PDF file, do you know how to zip it together? Yes, no, maybe so. I can show you here. Okay, let me show you. I'll stop sharing. I'll share my screen. Hopefully it's not very crazy. I might have to hide some things here. Okay, so that PDF that I just saved, hide this here, is on my desktop. So here's the AI file, here's the PDF. Let me open that up just to show you what it looks like. And I would open it up when you, after you create the PDF, just open it up, make sure everything looks good. I would definitely supply your AI file in there as well. So have both your AI and your PDF. That way I can go in and look at it and see if you did it right. If I'm just looking at your PDF, I can't really see the color changes or anything, but that's the PDF. So go ahead and take your PDF and your AI file, and then you will have a Word file too. So there'll be 3 files here. Just imagine the third file is the Word file. You're going to select all, so just kind of drag over. And you're going to control click over top, control click, and then choose compress to items. And that's going to create a zip. I think you can also do file on your menu if you select the 2 files, 3 files, and go file compress to items. And that does the same thing. So this is what you'll be submitting. Any questions about that? Not yet. Okay. All right. So that is your assignment 2. I'm going to go into the assessment 2 demo here. I'm going to take a 5-minute break so you guys can get some sugar in you and take a break a little bit so we can come back refreshed, and we'll go over your assessment 2. Does that sound good? Once we're done with the assessment 2 demo, Amber, if you want to take a look at your stuff, we can take a look. All right, so 5 minutes. I'll be right back, and we'll get right back into it. See you in 5. All right, can you guys hear me? let's go forward here. Hopefully you guys can hear me. All right. Woohoo. All right, I'm going to switch again to our Canvas just in case, because I copy these instructions over and sometimes they change the words after a while, and I don't want to be inconsistent. I think it's the same thing, but we'll just make sure we're consistent here. So let's go to week 2, assessment 2. You guys have another project to work on. This is your campaign poster. So kind of another thing to keep in mind, that the colors that you're picking for your kayak logo mark will be placed on this poster. And there are specific pictures that are given to you guys in here you might want to check out before thinking about a color theme, because it may not work over top of a certain image if you want to use a certain image. Okay, and I'm talking about the color hue may not work. So you might be kind of going back and forth depending on, you know, which way that you go. Just kind of keep that in mind. So what you might want to do is kind of look in here first, kind of look at the images, and then start thinking about, okay, what colors would look best. And usually that's kind of the backwards way to think about it. When you're creating a logo and picking a color scheme, you're usually doing that first and then choosing images to work with that. So, but just kind of make sure, test it. If it doesn't work, you'll need to kind of make it work somehow. It may not be you needing to change the color of the color theme that you picked for the logo. You might need to just implement other things to make it more readable over top. Okay, so basically go read through the background here. It talks about posters and kind of what you're going to be getting into here. There's also a video that illustrates how to correctly resize images to maintain the visual integrity, and which resolutions are appropriate to use where. Very good to watch, only 5 minutes there, so definitely take a look. I'm going to go right to the prompt here. So you're going to be using the strongest, most viable color theme from your logo assignment this week. So you're going to choose one. You're going to create a poster that will promote the Aqua Excursion Sunset Paddle Adventure. So it's kind of neat how they tied in the discussion with the poster this week. You must incorporate the following. So your final color Aqua Excursion logo, choose your strongest color combination, and create a file in Illustrator of this logo alone. So you'll just create a new artboard, and I'll show you how to do that. You're going to crop it tightly, and then you're going to convert it to CMYK if it's not converted as of yet. You're going to, up to 2 images you're going to use from the zipped file, Sunset Paddle Images. You're going to choose up to 2 images. You can choose 1, doesn't have to be up 2. You can use this headline, or you should use this headline, Sunset Paddle Adventures, the headline. Here's the body copy. And the call to action. That should be on the poster. The project specifications, you have to do this in InDesign. Finished size is 11 inches by 17 inches. Your bleed is 1/4 of an inch. I'm sorry, 1/8 of an inch. I'm looking at that as 0.25. CMYK is the color space. So those are the project specs. Pre-press requirements, all images converted to CMYK, so we shouldn't have any spot colors for this poster. All images placed at correct resolution, so 300 pixels per inch at 100%. All spot colors converted to CMYK. Live area applied properly. No important text or elements too close to the trim. Bleeds correctly implemented. Document packaged for print. And I'll show you how to do all that. You're going to submission requirements. You're going to name this as such. First, last name, assessment 2. Export the InDesign file to a press quality PDF. Include crop marks and bleeds. Note this is different. This is a different setting than the print quality, so we'll talk about that. Package the InDesign file and zip the package folder InDesign creates. Note, make sure that there are no errors in the report. If there are, fix them and repackage for submission. I'll show you how to look for that. Submit the press quality PDF with the file name as such, and then also the zipped folder with the name as such. So you're going to have the packaged folder with a press quality PDF included. And then just kind of keep your native files just in case. All right, so a lot of information, but I think you guys will be fine that this isn't too crazy once we go through it. All right. I'm opening up Photoshop while we're talking here too. So what we're going to do is we're going to upload the 2 images from the zip file, or I'm sorry, we're going to upload the images, all of them. And then we're going to pick either 1 or 2, depending on what you guys want to do. Go ahead and download these here. All right, so here's what this looks like in this folder I just downloaded. Here are the images that you have to work with. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So here's sunset 1, sunset 2, and some are landscape and some are portrait. Sunset 3, sunset 4, sunset 5, sunset 6. Okay, I'm gonna take this folder, I'm just gonna throw it right on my desktop. Go back to my, not that, go back to my details here. So what you can do is just copy this information before going into InDesign 2. All right, so I'm going to open up InDesign. And we can change the size here. So we'll do width 11 by 17. We're just doing, make sure this is inches here. 1 page, we don't need facing pages, just click that off. Go ahead and we want to set our bleed up. Hold on 1 second, I just opened up the wrong thing here. So our bleed size should be 0.125, 1/8 of an inch. So go ahead and click down where it says bleed and just tap 1 time on the up arrow or type in 0.125. If this link is clicked on, selected, they should all change. Top, bottom, left, and right. No, that's good. And then choose create. Okay, so this is kind of what your poster should look like. The bleed is basically the red line going around. The purple line is your margins. So they don't print, they're just for you to kind of organize your information. All right, so basically what we need to do is we need to pick an image that we're going to use, or images, going forward for our poster. Okay, this is telling me I can't open my Photoshop because my scratch disk is full here. Let me see if I can open it up. Oh, let me see if I can close out of. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to close out of Illustrator. Before I do that, let me choose one of the 2 that I did here for my brand. So let's say I'm going to go with the top one. I'm going to copy this. So Command C. And this is in Illustrator, by the way. Sorry, I'm kind of, hopefully I'm on the right one here. Hold on. I'm going to choose one of the 2. I'm going to have to change this to CMYK first. So why don't we just do that now? Because right now I have it in Spot, I believe. Oh no, this is in Spot. But this is, okay. Now I'm just gonna copy that. And I'm gonna go File, New. And I'm gonna make this, let's see. Let's do 4 by 4, 4 inches by 4 inches. So brand new artboard here. Let me move my swatches over. Command V is paste. And I'm just gonna deselect it. And then what I'm gonna do is choose the artboard tool over here in the toolbox, which is right above the hand. And I'm gonna move this so it's just snug around here. Just the bounding box here. I have enough white space around it, but it's kind of tighter. Okay, so this is about 4.5 by 2 inches. If you're kind of wondering how, it doesn't have to be that, but that's a good size. All right, save this as Aqua logo. I'm gonna just save it to my desktop as an AI file so I can go back to it if I need to change something. And then since we're going to be placing this into InDesign, let's go ahead and save as, or I'm sorry, export file, export as a ping file. Now, a ping file is nice because the background is transparent. You can make the background transparent. So I would choose a higher resolution, pixels per inch. Type optimize, and then where it says background color, choose transparent. Click OK. And this is going to export it as a ping file that you're going to import into your InDesign file. So I'm going to close out all of this and quit out of Illustrator so I can open up my Photoshop. Just give me one moment here. See if I can open up my Photoshop. Right now, you are looking at the InDesign. No, I'm not able to open it for some reason. It's giving me problems. Let me go into my other folder here, see if I can open it another way. Let me open up my older Photoshop and see if this opens here. There we go. All right, you guys are going to be looking at an older version of Photoshop, but at least you guys can see what I'm doing. For some reason, my 2018 Photoshop is not opening. Saying I don't have enough memory on my computer. I'm not sure what's going on there. All right, so what I wanted to show you is once you decide on an image that you want to use for your poster. So that folder that you downloaded with the images in here, see these images? You're going to pick one that you want to use. I'm going to try this one. And you're going to open it up in Photoshop. And in Photoshop, you're going to go up to image. Oh, yeah, you're going to go to image, size. Everything looks good. It looks 300 pixels per inch. Check your resolution. If it's not 300, if it's less than that, it has to be 300. This looks good, 11 by 16. I don't have to do anything to this. I'm going to cancel. The only thing I need to do is go up to image mode and change it to CMYK. Click OK. Then save it as, I'm going to put CMYK so I know that I changed it. I'm going to save this to the desktop. And I'm going to save it as a, this is going to make it a really big file though. I'm a little worried about that. Typically when you do it for print, you want to save it as a TIFF file. It's just going to make it a really big file. Click OK. Your file sizes might be really large. It's the only bad thing. Okay, then once that's done and that's saved on your desktop, go right back into InDesign. This is exactly how designers do it, you guys. Go kind of back and forth with things. You're going to save this out as assessment 2. Oh, I lost my screen here. Hold on. Did I totally got logged out of my, hold on. Kick me out of my InDesign here. Yeah, so file it as a TIFF. I'm getting kicked out of all my programs here. You're gonna convert it from a RGB to CMYK. my InDesign kind of quickly closed out here. I think I'm having memory problems for some reason, which is really weird. Let me close out of my Photoshop. Give me 1 second, you guys. It says it in here too, all images converted to CMYK, so that's how you do it. You convert your image to CMYK in Photoshop, just how I showed you. You make sure all the images placed is correct resolution, 300 pixels per inch, just what I showed you in image size in Photoshop. That's kind of what I was just showing you there. It doesn't tell you where to do that in here. That's why it's not very clear. But I'm telling you that's how you would change it in Photoshop. So you're going to have to kind of open up a couple other programs to do that. So Photoshop is where you would definitely change that. Okay, let's go back to InDesign. I just reopened that. Sorry about that. Everything's saved as. And now I'm going to use that as my focal point picture. So I'm going to take my rectangle frame tool, which is the square with the little X in it, and I'm going to go right from the top of my bleed, so that red line, all the way down to the other red line. So it's going to have that bleed set. So this bounding box, and let me zoom in so you can see, is going to hit. So this blue should cover that red, and that's the bleed. And that means if this was printed on press and shifts on press, I'm not going to have a weird white gap here. I'll have enough image overlap so there won't be any weird white gaps. All right, so either go Command D or File Place, and we're going to place, remember that ping file I told you to save it out as? I'm sorry, not the ping file, the TIFF file, CMYK. We saved it out as in Photoshop. You're going to place that, see how it's a large file, 65 megabytes. You're going to open it up in there. So you're going to place it there. The only thing I need to do, because see it's not quite big enough. At this point, I'm going to go up to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately. And that should be all I need to fill that frame. Okay, so I have this, it looks good too. The next thing I want to do is import my logo. So I'm going to take the rectangle frame tool again, and I'm just going to draw a general box here, just from the left to the right margin, about that size. Doesn't have to be that exact size. Command D, and remember the logo that we did with the ping? It was a ping file. We created it in Illustrator separately, and then we exported it out as a ping file. We're going to import that. Now look what happened. I'm having issues here, right? Looks like, let me see what it's on high performance. It looks like it's hard to see on this background color. So there's a couple things you can do. You can either go back and change the color. Sometimes we don't always have that luxury. Center. We could put a drop shadow on it. We can move it down below to see if it works better in this area, which that definitely would work. That works better there. You can still put a drop shadow on it. Let me show you what it looks like with a drop shadow above here so you guys can see the difference. So with that selected in InDesign, go up to Object, Effects, Drop Shadow. Move the little panel aside, hit Preview, and you can see the drop shadow being put on there automatically. Click, make sure that that's selected on the left panel there so you can change your, maybe the distance, maybe you don't want it to be that far out. You can change the opacity, you can make it less noticeable where it's not so dark. So that's one way you can do it too, making it more noticeable. I'm going to pull it down here because I think this would work really well down here. I think it's definitely viewable. I don't have any issues. Let's see what the preview looks like. That looks pretty good. Okay. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is go back to our assignment details. And I'm going to copy, because this is what I've done so far. So I did all this. I did all my pre-press stuff. Now I just need to copy and paste the headline. So I'm going to copy, just highlight copy. And I'm going to go back to my InDesign file. It's already in my pasteboard, so I'm going to take the type tool and just draw out a type box from left and right margin and do a Command V, which is a paste. Can't see it real good. I'm going to do a select all. And I'm going to make it bigger and type up here as your type size. Or once you have it selected, you'll see that preset. Or if you want to go up to Window and pull up your type character box so that it's here, the panel, so you can change it. It's here. Might be easier. You also have a paragraph panel box. So if you wanted to center, align it, depending on what you want to do. You can pull the same colors from the logo into your headline. Just go ahead and take the eyedropper tool and select maybe that yellow that you used. Just make sure it's CMYK yellow. And make sure that the box isn't this color though. And we don't want the stroke to be. You could pull it in and make it more cohesive in this way. I'm going to change my typeface to, let's see if they have a condensed. You can even do, let's see if there's like more of a, let's see, Great Vibes might be a good one. So this part's up to you. Oops. You might want to play around with this part and just have fun with it. Oops. I'm just kind of play around with this a little bit. There we go, Sunset Paddle Adventure. Go back, I'm going to copy the body copy. I'm not going to show you this to go back and forth so you guys can see. Just go back to your assignment, copy the body copy, do another type box, paste that in. I'm going to make this just white. Let's just do Helvetica new. And the body copy, let me see here. Now remember, this is a poster, so you're going to be viewing it from a little farther distance than you would if you were holding it in your hand. So the body copy you'll want a little bit larger than, say, 12 point. So maybe like 18, 24, depending on, depending on the typeface that you're choosing. And I'm going to pull this in because you don't want your type to be too long in length because it's harder to read that way too. But just make sure it breaks, read through it. If you read through it, kind of understand how it reads. Sign up for your unique experience and join us as you paddle off into the sunset, enjoying relaxing scenery. Advanced, so you might even want to put a space here. Advanced reservations required, family adventure packages. You might even want to make this more bold. And maybe this is bold, italic. You might want to bump that down. You might even want to make maybe this part a little bigger than this part. Point size. Kind of play around with the hierarchy there. There you go. And then just make sure you pay attention to your alignment. Maybe move this up a little bit. Have that kind of read together a little bit more. See how this looks. So it's all about balance. See how it works. You may want the headline to read more with this information. Have it set a little bit closer, but have some visual pause in between there. The logo is perfect down here. We just need the call out, and sometimes the call out is either on the top or the bottom. I'm gonna place it on the bottom here. I think it would work. And that is basically, the call out is the contact information. So let's go back and copy and paste that in there. The logo doesn't have to be huge, you guys. It doesn't have to be extremely large. I know sometimes it's student text box here and paste this in. A lot of the time students make it really, really big. I just kind of want to caution that because you have your member proximity and also your hierarchy to worry about. So if everything is emphasized and everything's the same size and is emphasized the same way, nothing becomes, and it all just kind of blends together. And then it becomes very hard to know where to start, what to look at first, second, third, and people just won't bother looking at it. Okay, so what I did is I just made my copy the same color, the same typeface as I had above there, just thicker. So this is the same typeface as this, just thicker, and then all caps. So I just went up here in character and chose all caps. And this information should be a little bigger than your body copy, but not too big. It doesn't want to compete with, say, the headline, okay? I'll probably make it just a little smaller because it does kind of pop out a little bit too much. So let's try 18 because I have it so bold and it's very, very contrasted. I want to make sure that I help balance that out so that it's not the first thing that I see. Obviously, you want it to be important, but we want the headline and the focal image to really be the first things that you see. So you want the eye to go, come into the picture, to go right here to the headline or wherever your headline is, down into the information, and then they see the logo and then the call out information. Make sure you're mindful of your margin spaces. So I have a nice big white space here is what I call that, margin space. You don't want your copy to be super close to the top. You want to have a nice visual balanced pause. You don't want this to be too far away from the headline. It kind of reads really well together. And you don't want this to be too close to the trim edge. You want it to have some margin space, at least, almost an inch maybe. So like 3/4 of an inch at least for margins. You could play around with it. You could have the logo up here if it works. You could have the headline down here if it works. Kind of play around with it, see what works for your layout. And the design that you want to go with. For mine, just so happens to kind of work out where, I think it looks a little bit more balanced like this. Now I can definitely throw a drop shadow on this if I think it needs it. So right on the headline there. Take it back a little bit though. Same thing with the type. Just make sure it's subtle though. You don't want it to be super. Sometimes when you do too much of a drop shadow, it becomes harder to read too. So it could kind of go against you. But it definitely makes it a little easier to see sometimes in certain ways. Feel free to add in lines or anything that you think will definitely enhance this. Maybe you want to put a border on it. Let's see, like this. The border I'm talking about is very thin. Just like a very thin line here. Maybe a 0.5, and maybe it's that gold color. Now I'll have to change a couple of things in here if I put that in there. It's kind of hard to see. It's very faint, but let me make it a little bigger. Now everything kind of needs to be adjusted because of that. But think about things that you can do to make it, look different and kind of work for your piece. This is getting a little thick. I like my subtle things there. Any questions about that? I'm going to show you how to get this ready for packaging, for submission. All right, let me go back to the information here. I just want to show you what I'm going to be going over now. So submission requirements, after you name it your InDesign file, you're going to export the file as a press quality PDF. Include crop marks and bleeds. Press quality. Let's do that first. So I already saved it as an InDesign file, looks good. I'm going to go up to File, PDF Presets, and we're going to go to Press Quality. I'm going to save it on the desktop. And we're going to include the bleeds. So I'm going to go to Marks and Bleeds. And we're just going to say, we're not going to choose this one, all printer marks. We're going to just do crop marks and bleeds. That's it. And we want to make sure we choose this, use document bleed settings, because we already have that in there, and choose export. And once that exports, I'll show you what that looks like. Yeah, some of the other pics, you know, there's pics in there that, and I was going to tell you, you can include in this as, you know, say if you want to just use this as a focal point, and then maybe you want to bring in some smaller pictures. And I'm just going to place these in here very quickly. I'm not going to convert them like you would in Photoshop first, because right now they're not converted properly. But like say if you wanted to use supplemental, like almost like this here. I would say steer clear of these if you're going to use it as a main image, just because they're landscape. But if you wanted to use them smaller, like for instance here, you know, to kind of showcase more pictures or whatever, you could do that. Just don't forget to take them into Photoshop and convert them to CMYK. All right, so let's hide this real quick here, and I'll show you what this PDF looks like. I just want to show you what to look for. Go ahead and open the PDF. Oops. I'm going to show my screen here. This is what I just showed you before. Don't get confused. This is the PDF that I just made. And I just wanted to show you real quickly here. See those crop marks? You have crop marks and you have bleed marks. So the bleed marks on the outside, that's where the bleed is. The crop marks is where your trim line would be. Okay, so you should see two sets right there. So that's kind of what your file should look like. So that's the press quality PDF. Go ahead and throw that kind of in a folder by itself. Put it right here. Go back to your InDesign file after you create your press quality, and now we're going to package this. So we're going to go up to File, Package. And I just want to make note before I do that, make sure, see at the very bottom here it says no errors. That means I have no like linking errors. My fonts look good. They're not, being synced weird. It looks good. If this was red and it said errors, click on that and do a pre-flight. Just kind of see what's going on there. You might have an image that's in another folder that isn't on your computer anymore, and it's giving you an error saying, hey, I'm trying to link up to that same image. Just make sure that that is green there. Go to File, Package if everything looks good. And what the package does is it packages all your fonts that you used in your poster. So, here's all my list of fonts. It's basically 2 different fonts that I'm using, Helvetica and Great Vibes. If I click on the left here, it says links and images. It's going to show me what my images are. And more importantly, and this is where my problem is. This is a good example of a problem that I just forgot to do. My logo is an RGB. I need to convert that to CMYK. But my image that I put in there is CMYK, so I'm good with that. So I just have to fix my logo. Everything else looks good. I just have to fix that logo. I'm going to hit cancel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to probably open up. I'm going to actually place in the Illustrator file here. Let's see. Where's my Illustrator? Okay, I'm going to save that. So I just placed the Illustrator file in there. I'm going to go do the same thing, package. I'm going to look at my links and images. All right, and then it's showing me Oh, I did place, it's a PDF. Okay. It's showing me my logo here as a PDF. And it's showing me my other colors here. Looks good. Images. I'm almost wondering, I'll have to open up my, I think this will be good. Just placing in your AI file will be significant enough. It's gonna, the only thing wrong with ping files is you can't convert those to CMYK. But you can import your Illustrator file in there to have that converted to CMYK. I think it looks good. All right, so we're gonna go File, Package. Everything looks good. And then choose Package when you're ready. Just hit Continue. This is if you were wanting to add in your contact information. And then, you know, excuse me, it's gonna tell you what it's named as, where it's gonna be saved. And then all of these should be checked except for include PDF, because you already have a PDF in there. So just make sure that that is not checked, how I have it here. But everything above here should be checked. You know, your fonts, your link graphics, everything should be checked here. And then hit Package. Just click OK. That's going to package everything up in a folder. Share my screen. And this folder is right here. So if I double click on here, it's showing my InDesign file. I'm sorry, my fonts that are used, my links, everything's in there. What I would just do at this point, oops, sorry, is throw my PDF right into that folder. So you have your PDF that you made, the high quality press PDF, in that folder. And now that it's all in that folder, click on that folder and go up to File, Compress, or choose Control Click, and you're going to compress that. Now this is going to be a big file because you're using large images in there. I'll show you how big this is. You can check it by clicking on the zip folder and do Command I, and mine is 25.5 megabytes. That's pretty big. But that's because I have a high-res image in there. It's 300 pixels per inch, and it's a TIFF file. So that's how you do it for press. It's just going to be a larger file to upload. So zipping it is definitely important. So you would zip this file. All right. Any questions about that? Some of you guys might need to kind of listen to that a couple of times to get the idea, but you know, that's what's nice about the recording. You can kind of go back and review if needed. Yeah, the files are it's a little, I think the only thing that you need to think about for the poster is don't just import your images right into the actual InDesign file. Take them into Photoshop first. Make sure the color space is converted to CMYK. Save them out as a TIFF. And that's really all you need to worry about. And then the logo, just place in the Illustrator file within your poster. It does get a little, but that's kind of how it is. You know, you kind of go back and forth like that a lot. As a designer, when you get a project, you have to just get used to that, flipping around and getting your files prepped for that purpose and reason. That's the tricky part, just getting used to that process and the flow of it. Okay. If you have any issues or anything, just let me know. And like I said, I'll be here tomorrow night so we can take a look if you're having issues too. That's pretty much, I'm going to wrap it up here because I know we have a little bit of time here, and Amber had some things that were going on, so maybe we can take a look at her screen here and see what's going on with her. But if you guys don't have any questions, I'm just going to kind of end it here. Does that sound good? I don't want to overwhelm you guys too much, but we covered a lot today. Okay, sounds good. Okay, Amber, do you want to share your screen? Let me unmute you.
If it gets loud, this is just easier for me to do than trying to type to you.
Right, okay. Okay, thank you, Linda. Okay, Amber, I'm going to give you, I'm not going to share here anymore, so you can go ahead and take over.
All right, I got to figure out how to get my stupid InDesign to cooperate, or Illustrator to cooperate with me. Okay, so this is as far as I've gotten this time around, because some reason the other one got deleted on me, which kind of upsets me.
Okay.
So you said click on the little circle, hit the rotate tool, click in the middle, hit option, and it just gives me the spinning wheel of death.
Okay, I don't see, is there a spinning? I don't see a spinning. Maybe it's on your end, I can see.
It's the multicolored spinning wheel of death and nothing's pulling up. Kind of looks like a little beach ball.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, a little spinner, but I can't see it on my end. That's why I was wondering if that was just because of the visual thing of the cursor.
It's not pulling up that rotate thing. I got it to pull up the rotate part yesterday, and then the issue I was having was the circles would all turn one color, and then they wouldn't change into the individual colors they were supposed to be.
Okay. Well, remember, you don't have to necessarily go through the same process that I did. I know you kind of want to do it just to learn how to do it, but if you're obviously having this many issues, I'm not quite sure what's going on. If it's kind of like do you have any other programs open?
No, none of my other programs are open at all. Like the only thing that would be open is the directions to the project. Like, so that'd be kind of like my Safari. But I even shut that down and only had Illustrator going, and nothing was working for me.
Okay. Try this. Get rid of that small circle.
So just delete it?
Yeah. And create a new one, but don't make it a symbol this time.
So wait.
So just create another little circle. I just want to see something real quick. Hold the shift key down there. Yeah.
Oh, whoops. Hold on. It's really tiny. There we go.
Okay, pull it up on that line and then try it now.
So you said do not make it a symbol.
Right.
Okay, so do the rotate key. Kind of looks like the middle to me. I don't know.
That looks good.
And I'm still getting the spinning ball of death. It is not wanting to give me that option at all.
Well.
And this is honestly the only way I know how to make a color wheel, so that's kind of why I'm following your directions to the T.
Right.
The only way I've ever seen them done. Like for some reason, I got it to work yesterday. It was doing the rotate perfectly fine. It would pull it up for me, but I couldn't get the colors to work. And then I went back in today to try to do it, and I can't find the file anywhere. It acts like it was deleted or it's just gone, and now I can't get the rotation to work whatsoever.
So what do you're hitting what, option or control?
Option.
Okay.
But I'm on a Mac too, so is that probably the issue, or?
No, because I'm on a Mac. Here, let me see something real quick. I'm gonna stop sharing on your end real quick here.
Oh, she killed it. No. Run away. The design don't want to be there anymore. It's like, no, she doesn't need to see this. What did you do? You're pushing so many buttons. I'm trying to watch the screen and it's hurting my eyes now.
Sorry. Yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna be running through here real quick. I just want to grab something really quick here.
I know since I started using the Adobe products for classes, I've been running into a lot of issues with them lately. Like every single one of my design classes, my teachers have had to go in and actually work with me on my projects to get them fixed and finished.
Really?
And I thought the issue was fixed with all the updates because that's what the school thought. Adobe said the same thing. It's just your computer needing updates. Every single time I update it, it just gets worse, it seems like. Phoenix, no, you cannot have mommy soda. Nice try.
Well, the only other thing I would say is probably go with another way to create it. If you cannot, obviously cannot get it to do what you need it to do. I can send you some resources to try different other techniques.
Okay, I just want to really make sure I get this in for you and everything, because I know a 0 in the grade book is bad when it comes to final grades and everything.
Yeah. Well, if I know you're having issues, it's obviously.
Yeah, but the way I see it is some credit is better than no credit.
Oops. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yep. See, mine's coming up right away. I click right in the center, and then
I can't even get mine to pull up. So I don't know if it's the computer maybe, or if it's the program. I can try getting a hold of IT and see what they think it might be.
Here, share your screen. Oh wait, let me try. Let's do a completely new document here.
Okay, so just completely cancel this one out?
Yeah. Just to see, I believe you, but just in case, create new, just like whatever artboard, just pick one. 8x8 fine.
Well, if we can get it to work, I'd rather leave it at what the thing's supposed to be for class.
That's fine.
Because I don't want to get it to work and then I go back in and try to do it again and it don't work. And it's like, oh, come on.
Okay, do the big circle.
Okay, get off the rotate key. Get Phoenix. Sorry, my son's curious on what's going on. He loves to watch my classes.
I understand. I have a little girl.
I love how interested my 2-year-old is whenever I have a design class. He's like, "Ooh, pretty colors."
Of course. They love the computer. My daughter's 3 and she loves
colors.
Yeah, colors, huh, baby? Whoops. Uh-ohs.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh. Okay, that should be big enough. I don't want it to take up the entire paper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do I do a little one on top of that, or do I just do the big one for now?
Do a little one.
Yeah, circle. Phoenix, shh. You're hard to hear when she's talking. And then she's hard to hear when you're talking. You're welcome. Now be quiet.
Oh.
And that's big enough.
Okay, so take the move tool. There you go.
Come on.
Okay, and then with that selected, hold down the Option key now.
Oh, okay.
And then hit the rotate tool. Key? Yeah.
Oh,
wait a second. I'm sorry. No. Go back to that. There you go. Click off of there. I'm sorry. Take the move tool again, the selection tool. Here you go.
I didn't want to mess this up.
Deselect it, so click right off of it. And then take the, I'm trying to think. What did I do? My steps. Oh yeah, go over to the rotate tool. Click on it one time. Mm-hmm. Then choose the Option key and hit the middle of that big square. And I think you might have to have that selected.
Oh!
Cancel that. Select your little circle first.
Now you tell me. Okay.
Sorry.
Little circle.
Yeah. Then rotate and then do Option and click in the middle. There you go.
Middle and ta-da!
Ta-da!
Wow. Why does it have to be such a pain? Like, come on now. Stop fighting with me.
Something had happened. Maybe, I don't know, with your file before that. Type in 30. So we can see if we can go forward here, and then hit preview and see if it's moving.
Yeah, it moves.
And then hit copy. And then all you have to do is Command D, I believe, is what the paste is. There you go.
Well, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hey, they're evenly spaced this time.
All right.
I did it last time and they were like all over the place. And I'm like, how in the world did this happen?
It's easy, trust me. So what other problems were you having? Your color?
Okay, so this is supposed to be red.
No, wait a second. Click off of there. You have to pull up your bright color.
Oh, yeah. Swatches. Windows. Swatches.
And then, yeah. Yep. Open swatch library.
Whoopsies. Open swatch library, not swatch options. I can't even talk today. Swatch options. Jeez.
And then
Come back here.
I think bright.
No, where'd it go? I saw him.
Color books or color properties.
There we go. And bright. There we go.
And then you're going to create your 2 rectangles that I showed, remember?
Yeah, but would I make this first circle the red, or do I do the rectangles first?
So you could do, it's up to you. You could do the first circle red. You can select it and make it red.
Where is that pretty little red color? Even though I don't like red. There it is. Oof. Okay.
And then go 4 down.
Yeah,
right there. That's the yellow.
And then this would be green.
That's blue.
Oh, blue. Sorry.
That's okay. Your primary colors, right?
Yeah. Blue, 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 blue.
And then, so now you take your rectangle tool, which is under your circle tool in the toolbar. You just hold down the ellipse tool.
Rectangles.
Go ahead and go over to your other artboard and draw out 2 rectangles.
What are you doing? Stop it, stop it, stop it. What? It's trying to intersect.
You're fine. Oh. Click and drag out a rectangle. There you go.
That's a weird looking rectangle. Now it's blue.
Okay, then just do an Alt Option, drag that down so that you have a copy of it.
Option.
You might have to, you have to deselect it and select it with your selection tool.
Oh, okay. So then click on it and hit Option and drag it down?
Option Alt, yep.
Woo.
Pull it down far enough, like about 2 inches down.
Right there?
Keep going. You need some space in between there to have 4 other ones in between. Or 2 other ones, 3 other ones in between.
Wow, what did you do that for?
Hold down the Alt option and drag up.
Oh, Alt and Option. Okay, Option, drag up.
Yep, go all the way to the top.
Right there?
Yep. And then make that one the red in your swatches.
Where did the red go?
I think you used the one at the bottom there. That one.
Yeah, that one. And then this would be yellow, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then select both of those rectangles.
How do I?
Shift select. And I would take off the stroke. I would take off the black. So see how there's a black stroke on there?
I don't remember how to do the stroke.
In your toolbar, see where the red is? There you go. Perfect.
Did the stroke come off of this one?
Not the yellow. You have to do that separate. Okay, and then do a shift select both.
Come on. There we go.
You go up to object. And go down to blend. You go blend option. And it says smooth colors. Click on that and drop it down. No. Yeah, click that and then say specified steps. And you want to do 3. And then go back up to object. This is the tricky part.
Yeah, I forgot about that step.
And then blend and make.
I was like, wait, where'd they go? Now, how do I get those to ungroup so that I can put the colors where they belong?
Go back up to object. And you want to choose expand.
Oh, okay.
And then go okay. And then go up to object again and ungroup.
Okay. That's the step I forgot. Because I got to this step and then I was like, wait, how do I get that to ungroup again?
Yep. So then now you can click off of that and take your, select the next circle that you want to change. And then take the eyedropper tool and choose. Yeah,
because it's so much easier to do the eyedropper tool than it is to turn around and match each color perfectly.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So you're going to do that same step kind of all the way around.
Okay. Yeah, see, now they're changing, but when I did the red and the blue, for some reason, the first 2 stayed that dark shade of red, and I couldn't get them to change at all.
Okay, it might be because they were grouped.
Okay, so
Sometimes
it was weird because it was like the individual circles in the pattern itself. It
uh,
wasn't the rectangles, it was just the individual circles.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was because it was grouped on the right, so it was just taking a grouped hue, even though it was the one that you weren't clicking on. I don't know. It's weird.
It was just weird because it stayed literally this right here, this dark red all the way through, except for this circle here was like the color it was supposed to be. And I'm like, that does not work for me.
Yep. So I think you're good though. I think.
Okay, so just finish it out, make it how did you get it to copy into the other 4, or do I just not worry about that till it's completely
What I
finished?
would do is just delete all the 3 that you have, and then just duplicate. Once you're done with this,
Yeah.
before you put the signifiers in, you can even put the title down below or wherever you want. Then you duplicate that one by going to the artboards. See where it says artboards, where your layers is?
Okay.
You can go ahead and drag that artboard 1 down next to so select number 1, and you can drag and drop it on your make a new artboard, and it's going to copy that. So drag and drop it right next to the trash can. So that little page, and you let it go, and it's going to duplicate that, and it's down below. You can't see it. You have to scroll down on your page there. It's going to, or to the right. I don't know how you have this organized.
I have no idea. It did it itself.
There you go.
Oh, okay. So then these other 3, when I have the 4, I just drag and drop the other empty 3 into the trash?
Yeah, just drag them into the trash. That's the easiest way.
Okay.
Yeah, just duplicate it 3 times and then go and change the signifiers in there.
Now, will the colors duplicate as I'm going through and doing the original, or will I have to duplicate them on the other side as well?
They should be the same if you're duplicating the artboard that you're selecting.
Okay, so anything I do to artboard 1 will change on artboards 2, 3, and 4?
The only thing that won't change, yeah, I mean it'll just copy it.
Okay. That's what I wanted to make sure, because I was like, I don't want to have to match the colors.
Yeah, no, it'll be the same colors. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So hopefully I can get this done and turned in for you so I can start on week 2, because I don't want to fall behind anymore.
Yeah, I think you're on your way. You just needed to try a new artboard.
Yeah, apparently it didn't want that artboard. It's like, no, we don't like this one. Can you make a new one? Oh, okay. She stopped sharing. I was like, where'd it
go? Yeah, well, this is good because some other people might be having issues too. So this will be good for them to see how to do the steps, because sometimes it gets tricky. You forget the steps.
Yeah, I just got wicked confused, and I was like, I hope she don't get mad at me or confused on what I'm trying to tell her. It's just, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, I'm glad I could help you.
All right, thank you so much, Professor. I'll try to get that done as soon as possible for you.
All right, no problem, Amber.
Do you want me to email you when it's done, just in case you don't get the notification?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'll definitely make sure to drop you an email, let you know, hey, it's done, finally.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. You have an awesome night.
Yeah, you too. We'll be talking to you later.